Hello there. We're in eclipse season. Not only do we have our second eclipse, we have Mercury retrograde on top of that. And Pluto's going retrograde as well. Yeah. So I started to feel the eclipse sort of doorway or energy sort of come over me probably early Monday morning, late Sunday night. And what does that mean? Well, for me, it's usually like body aches and pains, feeling sort of thick-headed, fuzzy, sometimes tired. Um, and also just this feeling like you're in the twilight zone all of a sudden. Like for for a while after the other eclipse on the 20th of April, there's like a period of like, ah, I've had some clarity, I've got some momentum, I'm feeling actually like normal again, like I whatever that means, but feeling like I remember I know myself this way. Yeah. And then the Sunday night, Monday morning rolled around. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm back in the twilight zone again. I feel feels like something moved me over here. Okay. And of course, we'll see how it feels when this gateway closes and how long it lasts. But sometimes we're looking at a few days before, a few days after. Some people feel it on the day, some people feel it everything before, and then they're fine during it. Some people feel it a little bit after, but somewhere in this phase of the 5th of May, you're likely going to have some sort of insight, some sort of buildup, maybe a revelation, maybe a shock, maybe some sort of surprise, maybe a reveal. And that can be external, like somebody tells you news or something happens around you. Sometimes it's internal, like, oh my God, I suddenly see my patterns. Wow, look at that. Yeah. So that's how it sort of rolls with an eclipse. And this one is lunar this time. The other one was a full solar eclipse. This one is a lunar eclipse. So, and it's in Scorpio. So an eclipse in Scorpio would be more likely to bury or reveal something secret, taboo, deeply psychological, deeply emotional. So whatever comes up, because it's Scorpio opposite Taurus, yeah, it's going to be intense. Now, the other thing that's so interesting right now is the coronation of King Charles is going to happen the day after an eclipse. Now, if any of you watch my little reels on Instagram or whatever, I was talking about this for, a minute and a half. It's sort of weird to have a coronation on an eclipse, isn't it? Unless, is there a reason? Is there something that they're trying to do behind the scenes while the coronation's going on? I don't know. Do the royal astrologers say, oh no, it's a good time to sort of switch your role because there's a switcheroo in the air? But certainly they will have checked these things. I personally, if I was launching something new and I chose an eclipse to do it, I probably wouldn't choose an eclipse unless I felt that there was something of a shocking or revealing nature that I wanted to include with the momentum of whatever I was bringing out. But I suppose it could make sense. The eclipse, when it's bringing in one monarch and officially bringing in the next one, or, are they aware of this sort of weird gateway feeling around it? Creates a bit of mystique, bit of magic, bit of, doesn't mean it's bad. Can create like a very interesting or mystical mood to what's going on. Again, it's in Scorpio. We wouldn't expect, just purely with Scorpio and Taurus, a lot of people to necessarily show up to this thing, but of course they will. It's a coronation. But a lot of the time, Taurus, Scorpio, nah, I'll just stay home. It's fine. Not like when she had the Jubilee and it was in Gemini, the most social thing in the world. I was there for that. Not at the actual Jubilee, but I was in England when the Jubilee was happening. It was pretty fun everywhere you went, you know, happy, festive, decorative. I would love to be there now. I'd love to feel the mood in London now with the coronation, just since I've been there twice in the past year and felt different events, very interesting time to be there. So before we start tonight's chart analysis, I will just honor this tradition, this English tradition, and I will just have a cup of tea while I'm doing the chart for you. How's that? Maybe you want to have a cup of tea with me. It's nothing fancy, it's just chamomile. Whoops. Nice and calming. I won't fall asleep in the middle of the forecast, don't worry. I love chamomile. All right, so we're going to look at 3 different charts. I'm going to look at the eclipse chart. I'm going to look at King Charles' chart, and I'm going to look at the coronation day. Now, eclipse day and coronation day are a day apart. It's not a huge difference, but you'll just see based on how I interpret it, slightly different just because the time is different. The rising sign is different. The house placements are different. Other planets won't move that fast. The moon might be a degree later. That's it. But it'll feel a little different. You'll see. You'll see. Let me show you. Now, if you would like to come to any of my workshops, I have an intuition circle on the 6th. Yes, on the eclipse. And I have a tarot circle where you can practice your tarot reading, give a reading, get a reading. We go around and around the circle, pulling cards, asking questions. You don't need to be an expert. You do need to just know enough to read a card. You don't have to be an expert. If you want to do that, it's May the 4th. Yes, May the 4th be with you, and come to the tarot circle. If you want to sign up for my intuition cafe, this has been really fun. We all practice our intuition. We chit chat over there. I give you exercises. I give you tips. I'm going to eventually be making that into more of a membership site where you'll get my free course on intuition and a bunch of other stuff, discounts. I'm working on it. All right. You can reach me in the comments below. You can reach me at riverrain.com. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. Let's take a look first at the full moon lunar eclipse chart. Now, I always cast it for New York just because I'm in the Eastern time zone. So let's take a look-see. We have 0 degrees Virgo as the rising sign of this. 29 degrees. Yeah, well, it's saying 0. Yeah, the official ascendant is, 0 degrees Virgo, 38. Okay, wow, right on the... Interesting. Now, got our moon in Scorpio down here in the 3rd house at 14 degrees. Now, as you remember, probably, that we've been talking about this a lot, the importance of that 14 degrees is because Uranus has been sitting at 16, 14, 15, 16 for quite a while now. And we've had a series of full moons and new moons that fall around the 14, 15, 16 degrees mark for quite a while now. So it's really activating Uranus, which means it's really activating a lot of sort of revolutionary change. And yes, throwing off our sense of security and stability. So here we go again. We've got the sun at 14, Uranus at 18. We've got Mercury still retrograde over here at 8 degrees Taurus. And it's all making an opposition, of course, with the moon. So whenever you get something where Scorpio is opposite Taurus, Taurus opposite Scorpio, Leo opposite Aquarius, or vice versa, you've got the fixed signs squaring off with each other. And that means that it's stubborn. It's stubborn energy. It's fixed, it's rigid, it's strong-minded, it's strong-willed, it doesn't want to budge. So it just makes all the transitions and reveals and emotions denser. Things come about by showing you opposites. Things come about by oppositions and conflicts. Strong differences of opinion, juxtapositions that are like, well, how's that happen? That they're so different. So we have to be ready with this kind of Scorpio full eclipse here, full moon eclipse, to have our emotions quite heightened. And when you've got, you can see all three, right? Mercury, Sun, and Uranus conjunct in Taurus opposing the moon. It's quite a strong, standoffish, digging in your heels, they'll dig in their heels back kind of moment. So I always advise to just pick your battles with this. Sometimes your Scorpio moon side is so activated that it says, I don't care, I'm fighting. It's worth it. And sometimes you might set off something that really could be heavy, nasty. Let's say, for example, an intense jealous reaction, intense possessive reaction could be very Scorpio moon. Somebody feels like you're disloyal, betraying them. Could happen. With Taurus, if they're offended and upset, you're throwing off their security, you're challenging them that they're not right. The two signs can be very strong and very stubborn. So we're expecting that. Now, it's not like a volatile hair trigger. Oh my God, one thing is said and people fly off the handle like crazy. This is more an emotional, could be a silent treatment, could be passive aggressive, could be sort of punishing, could be covert payback kind of thing. Okay. Could be. Now, what else is going on in this chart is we're going to take a look over here at the Sun and Mercury. And the North Node is also in Scorpio. And we got Jupiter, in Taurus, excuse me. And we also got Jupiter here at the tail end of Aries. And it's all squaring off with Mr. Pluto down here, which is at 0 Aquarius, but is now retrograde. So Pluto retrograding, again, would also suppress sort of the forces of transformation, turn them inwards. Again, that can make for some pretty intense moods. And again, it can make for some people feeling quite stubborn and digging in their heels as well, because as we said, Pluto, Aquarius is another fixed sign. So it is squaring off. You see these red lines. Pluto is squaring off with Taurian planets and with Scorpio planet, with the nodes in retrograde. Bah. So again, sometimes conflicts play out so unconsciously, don't they? Sometimes people don't know what to do with it, so they withhold, or they just ghost. This has that kind of feeling. It's too intense. I don't know how to deal with it. So I'm going to covertly either remove myself, go silent, do something that's really not above board and clear, because I can't deal. That's one way that this energy could play out with all this squaring off of stubborn planets here. Now, we also take a look here that Pluto is opposing Mars, which is not great. It's another sign, and Mars in Cancer, as I've said in other videos, is not direct about conflict. It likes to go sideways. It likes to use emotion instead of directness. It can be very nurturing and empathic and tender and caring when it's feeling safe. But if it's feeling challenged, like it is here with Pluto, it's going to go into, again, more of a passive aggressive mode. It's going to just, okay, just sighing, being dramatic, crying instead of, using emotion to get away from directly tackling a conflict. Pluto is retrograding. Is it going to say, turn around and face me to the Mars? I don't get that feeling. I get a feeling of like, you know what, I'm just going to do what I want. And Mars and Cancer is like, well, I'm going to avoid and do what I want. And we're just going to have a bit of a mess down the road. That's the feeling I get. So as much as you can, if you've got really good communication skills, try to use them. Try to not let things fester and build up and blow. And do your best with that, Yeah. Now, Mars is also squaring off over here with Chiron and Jupiter. So our wounds are activated with Chiron and Aries. Jupiter can sort of emphasize like this Aries side of like either taking risks or thinking of yourself, putting yourself first. But Chiron and Aries is like, do I even belong on the planet? Do I have a right to exist? I'm not sure. So the wound is like strong because Jupiter's emphasizing the wound in a sense, and the North Node a bit. Well, Mars square Chiron Jupiter, you might run into some people who are being very self-absorbed and narcissistic. Not that they are narcissists, okay? Very few people actually fit the narcissistic personality disorder. Lots of people, on the other hand, have narcissistic traits that they have sometimes, or maybe chapters of their lives, but they're not clinically narcissistic, just to clarify, because we throw that word around way too much. But with Chiron and Jupiter in Aries, we might see more people just like feeling lost, giving themselves away, throwing themselves down on like sacrificing themselves too much, perhaps. Mars might be, even though it's not direct, it might be in a position to sort of bully that with guilt trips. This is a complex psychological chart to me this time. It has a lot of undercurrents as a feeling. So again, the better you are at communicating and being above board, the sooner you can. That's the only real way to avert misunderstandings and covert, actions or intentions. Sometimes people don't even know they're being covert. So the only thing that you can do really is be as clear and above board and upfront with your intentions as possible. Now, the good news is that we do have a lot of trines. You see all the blue lines? So that same Mars in Cancer is supporting the moon, and it's trine Saturn as well in Pisces. So this bodes very well for just keeping your feelers on in an intuitive kind of way. Stay with your deeper side. Be more private if you need to. Be more discerning if you need to. Pull back and feel it. Don't logic it. There's nothing logical in this chart. Venus in Gemini maybe wants to be a bit logical, but usually wants to be flirty and playful. Other than that, there's a lot of raw emotion and there's not a lot of directness. So how do you navigate? Well, to me, you would navigate by feeling your feelings, feeling your body, trusting your dreams and your gut. So if someone's not above board, not communicating, not direct with you, not answering you, silent treatment, ghosting, whatever you encounter, I would say to just drop in and ask yourself, where do you feel this physically? Where do you feel this emotionally? And try to allow yourself to trust your intuition on something, even though you probably don't have proof or a conversation of it yet. So that gets a bit tricky, right? Saturn in Pisces is ironically making a trine to Venus in Gemini. So yeah, Venus trine Saturn isn't so bad. It might help support your getting your desires, but I don't find this has that strong a feeling to it because Venus in Gemini wants to just be playful and fashionable and out and about and not left out of anything and keeping things sort of light and bantery. And Saturn in Pisces is like walking through the fog, trying to understand why I'm here and where do I belong and what realm am I supposed to be focusing on here? Like people or my head or my imagination or my dreams or my intuition. So I don't find that a super strong trine. It might be good for creativity and exploration of your creativity or for meeting some new people, but it feels kind of light, not very meaty, let's say. And Saturn is also making, a helpful angle here to, I mean, nothing crazy, but still decent, angled with Mercury, Uranus, well, Mercury, sorry, and yeah, sorry, there's a lot of lines up there, my eyes. All right, no, Saturn is making a nice aspect to the North Node and to Mercury in Taurus. So that might bode well for, again, like try to navigate your way with your intuition, but also stay grounded, stay practical. But this is hard because Mercury is retrograde. It's like there's nothing that's really giving us a lot of mental clarity about this chart. It's all emotional. Mars is also making another trine over here. It's too bad that's not like a grand trine because that would have been a nice flow, but it isn't quite. As you see, there's like a couple of starts of grand trines, but nothing closes the triangle. So what we have instead is Mars trining Neptune. So even though it's not a grand trine with the moon, it's still, you've got 3 water planets that are aspecting each other well. And again, that's another sign that your emotional flow and your intuitive flow are the thing to trust. But there's going to be a lot of undercurrents and things unsaid and things repressed and buried, and things might come up to a head. If people withdraw, are silent, aren't talking to you, it's because something is bothering them and they don't know how to say it or they don't want to. Oy, 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 right? Now let's just take a look at the chart of King Charles, and then we're going to take a look at just the how the chart looks slightly different on the coronation day, just a day later. So we will share the coronation first. Oh, that's the same thing. Okay, 1 second, I will find it. Bloody hell, as they say. Now I can't seem to see it. I had it and it's disappeared. I did have it. All right. Well, we're going to take a look at his chart then. All right. So this one is a slightly different graphic, even though it's from the same company, the same website, Astrodienst. Let's just bring it down so we see it a little better. So he is born November 14th, 1948. So he is Scorpio, and he's the year of the rat. And he's born in London. So I added his transits to it so that we can see where the planets are now. Now, he is Scorpio with Leo rising. He's got Saturn in Virgo. And it is opposing Saturn in Pisces right now. Saturn opposing Saturn, that would be like a very tough time to be. Well, actually, no, it could be quite good for his coronation because it signals a lot, a challenge and a responsibility. Yeah, interesting. But, you know, his life lesson is opposite to what the lesson is of what's going on in the world as he comes to power. So that's sort of funny. Now, there's his sun down in Scorpio. He has Mercury in Scorpio. Venus and Neptune in Libra. Well, that's quite artsy and quite peace-loving, actually, and not super assertive. And he's got Mars in Sagittarius. That would be somebody that likes to travel, likes to be active. We don't think of him as being spontaneous, but Mars in Sagittarius could certainly be quite forceful or spontaneous if it wants to. And he's got it conjunct Jupiter here in Capricorn and opposite Uranus. So, you know what? That's quite restless to me. Uranus opposite Jupiter and Mars would be a very restless person. Must have been a heck of a time for him waiting as long as he has. Now, yeah, Uranus right at the beginning of Gemini. Huh. Well, this means, you know, in a couple of years, Uranus is going to make a return to its natal position for his chart, which I would imagine wouldn't be an easy time. So 2025. Now, he's got Venus upcoming hitting this Uranus, though. So not too long from now, it's not the coronation day, but within the next, probably the next couple of weeks, we're going to see Venus hitting Uranus. That might give him a nice little boost. That might bring him some sort of spotlight, even though it's like right at the beginning of the 12th house. Might bring him some press. We'll see. Now, Mars is going through Cancer through his 12th house but again, that's going to leave by the end of May. Yeah, maybe by early June, we'll see Mars on his rising sign in Leo. That could either give him a lot of energy or again, spotlight him, but it could also bring aggression. So yeah, we'll have to see. Now, he's got his moon right at the beginning of Taurus. And look at that. Jupiter is hitting the moon for him. North node is on his north node exactly. Look at that. Now that's interesting because his overall karmic direction in this lifetime is in Taurus, and so is the node in Taurus right now to the exact degree on his coronation. That is significant. Now that makes me wonder, did they choose this day? But nobody could have predicted when the queen would pass for them to plan this. But they did wait, you know? So I don't know enough about royal protocol if they had to wait a certain amount of time or whether how much they're allowed to select the timing of these events, but that is quite significant. If the North Node were on my North Node at the same time that I was launching something big, that would tell me this is my destiny. This is my destiny. Yeah. Very interesting. And so Jupiter's going to hit the moon for him again, you know, not that long from now. He's going to have a big month this month. And of course, the Sun, Mercury are passing through there. Uranus is still passing through his 11th, his 10th house of career. Lots of things accenting his career house, family. It's interesting because people who have the moon in the 10th house can sometimes end up in the public eye, and he sure has. I mean, even without being a royal. And so this full moon is not opposing his moon exactly. His sun is his sun is 20 something degrees. So the full moon is not hitting his sun exactly. That would have been more powerful. It's still gonna hit. He's still gonna feel it, but it's less intense. He's got Saturn in his 8th house, which is often about delving into deeper stuff again. Well, longevity is one thing about Saturn in the 8th, but also thinking about values, legacies and inheritances, other people's money. So I don't know how that'll play out there, but it's still passing through. The last thing I'll say about his chart with the current planets is that Pluto is going to hit his 7th house in a matter of a few years now. Not what am I saying? Not a few years. Next year. Next year. And so that could bring some open enemies to the fore. And because he's the King of England, would it bring an open enemies toward England, or would it be to him personally? It would not be an easy time for any of his public relations or his marriage, his partnerships. So I obviously I can't find the chart that I did of the coronation day, but it had a different rising sign is about all that was different. This at least shows the current planets that are happening for him. I will try one more time to locate this other chart just in case, because I wanted to make sure I saw that I had the rising sign correct. Yeah, I had it and I don't know where it went. Will it let me change it? Ah, there it is. Okay. Okay, so this is interesting because this chart is also Leo rising for the coronation day. Everything else is pretty much the same. The moon will have moved to 24, which that now falls on his sun. Uh-huh. See, it's not for nothing. The moon is going to be very close to the sun for him on coronation. Now, this is done for London time as well. So this is their time, not ours. I made sure of that. Leo rising, he is a Leo rising. So this is quite fascinating. Where's his chart gone? All right, now you're seeing everything else I'm doing on my desktop. Okay. Come on. There it is. All right. Look at that. 5 degrees is his rising sign. He's 5 degrees Leo, and the coronation is happening while it's 6 degrees Leo. Wow. See, none of this is for nothing. Yeah, none of this is for nothing. Wow. All righty. This is why I love astrology. I love it. Okay, so we have a good vibe of what this is going to look like. Let's take a look at our cards. I don't know about you, but I just feel like such a funk since Sunday night, Monday. Comes and goes, but right now I feel like I don't even know what the words are. Like, I feel like I'm under a blanket or something. I just have this weirdest vibe. And maybe you do too. Let's take a look at our cards for this eclipse. Try to get a sense of what would be a good question to ask for each sign after that. All right. So first card of our eclipse is Two of Wands, which is dominion, which means people vying for dominance. Remember what we said, very emotional, stubborn undercurrents. It's less likely that you'll have an outright fight. If you do, it might be fierce. It's more likely people will have standoffs or posturing. But if you're in something like that, it's because there's a power struggle going on. Second card is the Hermit. So basically, a lot of people might be withdrawing. You might feel also the need to just hermit, be alone, say, you know, I'm not getting involved in this. Or if you find a conflict upsetting, maybe you need to pull back and just really mull it over and reflect and get some insight as to why this anger is around you or coming towards you. If it's or your own anger. Yeah, hermiting. Oh, justice. Some big decisions will be made out of this fight, this inner struggle. If it's your own personal struggle, could be. If it's with somebody else, but the Hermit and Justice is really strong for reflection and then a major final decision on something, taking a stand. It could be even legal matters when it comes to the Justice card or getting things in writing if it leads to that direction. Yeah. Our next card is the Princess of Swords, which we know she struggles a lot. She's very clever and bright, but she struggles all the time. She can't settle her heart, settle her mind. She's anxious. She's defiant. She likes to pick fights. She likes to make things complicated. She won't ever admit that she likes drama, but she creates her own drama. Oh boy, and we have the Prince as well of Swords. That's not nice. So we have another person around who's like very clever, very good with their words, can talk up a storm, sell anything to anybody kind of guy, but he is not reliable and he's usually not very honest. His mind is sort of, you know, in pieces when you take a look at him. Who would ride a chariot in that position? He's got one leg back, one leg forward, one hand is holding on, one is over his head. He's all bent and twisted. This just tells you the state of his mind is not good. but he will definitely be clever and charming. So you got to be careful not to like buy anything or let yourself be convinced or talked into something by somebody, because we got two sort of conflictual people around. Oh, then we've got the truce card. So Jupiter in Libra, sitting down at the table and talking it out fairly. I don't know, some of you people might be in some sort of meetings or mediations or need to something facilitated or need somebody to come and sit down and have a moment to like intervene or calm the waters or make sure everybody's heard. Six of Swords. Well, that's a very good sign for being rational, for going over the details and with a fine-tooth comb, for things being clean and orderly, things being resolved, again, in a very sort of detached, scientific, detailed manner. And the Five of Wands, very likely there is a parting of ways or an argument or a boundary or a never again, no more, please don't do that moment with somebody. And Saturn in Leo, well, people are being very proud. Got to watch the pride. If you want to save whatever relationships or dynamics or groups that are going on, Saturn in Leo is like, careful of your ego. And Ten of Wands, eesh, oppression, not feeling free to breathe, free to move. Something has become way too much to bear, and you probably want to get out. And then the Five of Cups. Yes, well, emotionally feeling disappointed at something that very likely uh, is a distance or a loss or a separation or something like that. I'm going to pull one more because I hate leaving it off on nasty cards. I'll keep going. Um, Seven of Wands would be to stand your ground. That's Mars and Leo this time. Stand your ground, set your boundaries. Don't let people walk all over you. My goodness. Eight of Swords. Try to avoid getting stuck in your head or overthinking things too much. There we go. Prince of Wands is confident, clear and confident, and, you know, dashing in there on a lion, very open. Hopefully, you will feel renewed and confident after these actions or after these revelations are over with. And we'll leave it off on this card because I could go on all night if I keep pulling the story. I'll leave it off on the Strength card. Um, Feeling I'm getting is that if there are any undercurrents that you were unaware of in your life, whether that's with family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, something could be rearing its head and it might not be very direct and it might not be very easy to solve between you. But it has probably been there a while and now it's like, hello, here I am, please deal with me. And a lot of us don't have the communication skills to do these things very well or smoothly. So again, I'm going to draw on that and really just encourage you to try to be as clear and honest as you can as soon as you can so that we minimize any dramas or undercurrents because they're really not fun and they can, once you open these cans of worms, they're very hard to get out of and untangle. So what should we ask for each sign? Gosh, I don't know. It's clearing my cards. Hmm. I think I'm just going to ask a very practical question. What is your best course of action during this eclipse chapter? It'll tell me whether you need to lay low, whether you need to confront something, whether you need to hermit, whether you need to go paint. How do you handle this eclipse energy? It's the best way to handle this eclipse energy. Okay. I don't know about you, but I just feel like I got ants in my pants as well during this last couple of days. Can't seem to sit still or get comfortable. Now, Aries, what's your best course of action right now during this eclipse? That's nice. You got the Six of Discs, success. Focus on your work, focus on money, focus on getting ahead, enjoy whatever success or material things you have with gratitude. For me, as you know, if you're watching me, I love this card because it's got like a healing symbol in the middle. I don't know if you can. I feel like my camera is fuzzy on this machine and I keep trying to clean it and it doesn't bring it clear enough. But anyway, there is a circle and there is a cross and a rose. Yes, Rosicrucian. But for me, it's a symbol of, well, it's a symbol of the male and the female principles in harmony with each other, and that we have to develop the divine feminine and the divine masculine to be in harmony. And therefore, we have to develop both of those for success as well. So balancing and expressing both your masculine and feminine side. All right. Taurus, how do you best survive or deal with this eclipse? And you've got the Three of Cups. Very nice. Celebrate, man. Compared to everything I just been saying, that seems so absurd, but this is like chill out, pour yourself a glass of wine, have some good food, watch a movie, get together with people, make it very social, relaxed, chill, easy. Don't get into any big heated discussions if you can. Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah, let yourself rest and drink in any kind of luxuriousness around you. Gemini, how do you deal with the eclipse? Got the moon. There are some things gonna come to light for yourself or for others. The moon represents things that are unconscious or hidden. They might be hidden on purpose, they might not. But I would say expect yourself or people around you to reveal. And if you feel like weird undercurrents going on, or the mood changed, or the dynamic changed, very likely it's because something unconscious is brewing in the other person, and try your best to help them express it and tell you. Otherwise, this can sometimes be secrecy, and there might be intrigues or secrets coming out, as we mentioned with the Scorpio moon. So, yeah, and all you can do on your own end side is try to be aware if you've got any weird, murky moods rise into the surface, and try to communicate those to people that you trust and count on. It can be helpful to tell your secret to somebody. It can be very healing. And definitely try your best not to create intrigues by keeping more secrets or adding secrets if you can. Cancers, how do you deal with the eclipse energies? Okay, the Tower. Well, this sort of tells me that if something needs to fall apart, that you should let it. Somebody said to me years ago, and it scared the crap out of me. He said, well, he was talking about going to a certain country, certain that he knew would be a huge culture shock. And he said this to me 20 years ago. So he said to me, he looked at me dead in the eye and he said, go to India, get disillusioned. It'll be good for you. And I'll never forget that moment in my life, you know? This card could bring something that ends and it could be disillusioning. However, the tower always has been, is always a buildup of something that's already been there. It's not like it's something brand new out of left field. If you're honest, it's like, you know, I've been wanting to let go of that for years. Or you know what? I don't even like this person. Why am I hanging around them for years? Or I don't want to do this. I haven't really been that comfortable doing X, Y, or Z or living where I live or whatever have you. It's going to crumble down on you that you need to make a change. But at the same time, the tower will force you to change, but it will liberate you because you can finally be free of hiding, suppressing, faking, going along with whatever it is. So could be upsetting, but it is going to liberate you. Just remember that whatever ends needs to. All right. Leos, what do you need to know this eclipse? Sorry, I feel like I got something in my eye all of a sudden. Alrighty. 8 of Wands, optimism, travel, swiftness, acting quickly. So, I would say how you get around this eclipse energy might be that you do something adventurous. You go on a little quick trip, quick drive, even just researching it, a flight of fancy. Also, you need to express yourself and you need to do it quickly. And you need to just let things out very, very easy and quick, even whether it's angry, whether it's how come you didn't call me, whatever have you. Say it and say it quickly and say it in a positive way. Very direct. And that's going to have this rainbow effect. It's going to stimulate some conversation. And it feels to me like there's going to be some clearing of the air for you. Virgos, the Hanged Man. Well, not so fun. How do you handle the eclipse? Well, you're going to feel like you're sacrificing something or waiting. When's it going to be over? Something that it's going to bring out probably a lot of restlessness and impatience because the hangman means, you know, you're still in a process and you can't make it go any faster. Whatever comes up or is presented to you, however intense you feel it, however much you would like it to be done, over with, or started, or whatever it is, it's still going to take some time. So, yeah, try to deal with your frustration, like exercise or sing or scream or something to get it out of your body so it doesn't just like fester and you eat too much. Libras, there's a closure in the air for you. There is a big ending. Feels good, actually. Feels like something you're going to finally move on from, something you're going to finally put to rest, something maybe you're going to move literally to a new place. Maybe you're going to just make peace with something. You're ending a chapter and you're beginning a new one. And this feels really good. Your eclipse is going to be really nice. Okay. Scorpios, what is your eclipse going to be like? And you got the King of Discs. So somebody very stable around you, very grounded, very guarded, very protective, very prolific, doing well for themselves. You could meet somebody who's like this, or you could be speaking to, getting closer to, working for, or doing something for, or consulting, advising with this person. It's very good. If you're not, again, if you drop your pride, if we drop our pride, um, and allow yourself to go to this person, whoever they are, um, it looks very advantageous for you to be more vulnerable and open up to this person. I wonder how that would play out for King Charles, since he's also a Scorpio. I would say probably if I were reading him right now, I would say, well, this would be you, sir. Literally looking like he's in the English hillside in his armor. Um, Speaking about the land, the farmers, the animals. And it's interesting because it looks like it's very hilly. So maybe that would be a certain part of the country that I would say you need to turn towards. Maybe Wales, who knows? Um, Very interesting. Sagittarius. Okay, you've got our original card, the anger, the fighting, debating. Best to lay low unless it's really worth the fight. So, yeah, you might find things welling up, which makes sense because the full moon is in your 12th house. And so if any intense emotions creep up unconsciously, or you're it's just going to feel like a pressure build up, and it might provoke some sort of outburst or release if you're not careful. Maybe that needs to happen, but maybe if you can avoid it, that would be good. Yeah. Capricorns. What is your card? Very nice. You've got the lust, or typically the strength card, the Whore of Babylon, and all of the multifaceted, multiple faces of this beast she's riding. Drawing down the passion, and as you can see, the serpents. She knows her power. She's tapping into it. She's ready to be ambitious and create something or assert herself. Very confident. So you might be feeling this. You might be riding a wave of that. If you are, then just know that you have a lot of power right now. You have a lot of influence, and to use that wisely for some sort of change or for a greater good. Or she doesn't look like she's thinking of that, but I'm going to advise that. She's just drinking from the essence of passion because she can. So, yeah. How do you deal with the eclipse? I would say you would tune into your passion and your ambitious side. Let it ramp you right up. Aquarius. Seven of Cups. You got to get yourself out of some messy emotional situation. There's either people being, oh gosh, this card can be anything from like just toxic emotional states, which could be induced by anything. Mental health, not very good, possibly addiction problems, um, just people that are being just so fake, maybe. It is a Scorpio card. There's just swampy waters. Everything's too heavy. Everything's been stagnating and hasn't been cleaned up and clear and honest and on, you know, on track or on integrity in too long. So it is a messy swamp. So you might be in it, you might want to get out of it, you might be confronting it. If you're in it yourself, it's time to like exit and shift the behavior, shift the people around you, or shift the behavior, because this is not a pleasant card. And finally, Pisces. And you got the Five of Swords. So for you also, there's some potential conflicts or arguments, disagreements, differences of opinions, differences of values. If you look, each hilt of the sword has a different insignia. So it's like 5 different ideas, 5 different families, people coming from a different place. And if you look, it draws an inverted pentagram, which is not the greatest intentions usually. So I would say for you, it would be to opt out of a conflict like that, because it's sort of drawing people downward no matter what they say or do. It's sort of a pointless conflict. So again, I will emphasize my overall message of this eclipse is good communication skills. Do your utmost to be clean and clear with people, to be upfront with people, to say things sooner than later when you're clear. And we'll try to ride through the deep emotional swell that is coming through with this eclipse time. And if you need a reading, and if you'd like to join any of my workshops or my Intuition Cafe, all the links are below the video. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.